Hey guys, how are you? I hope you liked Gramsci's video. I know I said I was going to take a break, but I just can't shut up about Italian politics. I might have a problem. In my defense though, I couldn't have chosen a worse time to take a break to work on my thesis, which is going great, thank you for asking. On the 3rd and 4th of October, so in about 3 weeks, most of the major cities in Italy will be electing their new mayor and the new members of their city councils. The inhabitants of cities like Rome, Milan, Turin, Naples, Trieste and Bologna, alongside 1,000 other towns around the country, will cast a vote which will determine the fate of their city for the next 5 years. The entire region of Calabria is also going to vote for the new governor after the last one, Giole Santelli, died of a stroke a few months after her election in January 2020. It is an exciting time, and so it will be a shame if I didn't capitalize. In season 3 of Italian Politician of the Week, I already talked about the Roman elections quite extensively, even dedicating an episode to 2 of the candidates, Raggi and Calenda. In the latter, I gave some space to the other 2 contestants, Gualtieri and Michetti, who are just as interesting. Though I'm not here to talk about Rome, I want to talk about the elections in Naples. For those who don't know, I'm from Naples, but I live and study in Bologna, so I'm particularly invested in elections in both cities. I might have a more detailed picture of the elections in Bologna rather than the one in Naples because I have been working as an intern at the local newspaper Il Resto del Carlino in the past few months, but to be honest, the elections in Bologna are not very heated and quite predictable, while the ones in Naples, well, there is a lot more at stake. Let's talk about the people involved. Napoli, the 3rd most populated city in the country, the place of pizza, the Neapolitan dialect and neo-melodic music. For being a city so close to one of the most dangerous dormant volcanoes, it is very touristy and has a rich history and legacy in the fields of art and theater. Sadly, the quality of life has been decaying since the 80s due to inequality, negligence of both the people and the institutions, and last but not least, organized crime and corruption. Things have calmed down a bit since the Camorra Wars of 2004 and the Land of Fire scandal in the early 2010s, but crime is still a big problem in Naples. The locals are aware more than anyone of the increasing decadence of their magnificent hometown, not only because they live in it, but also because Naples has a very bad reputation in the north, which is further enforced by the media and political parties that say Naples is full of nasty leeches. Yes, I made it personal. Why am I tackling this? Well, because the political campaign of the 4 main candidates is trying to fill in some way that Neapolitan desire to regain its former glory, the glory that feels absent today due to the magistris, who preferred to start drama with the governor, Emperor De Luca, rather than tackling the issues of the lower classes. Let me introduce you to who is trying to take his place. First, we have Alessandra Clemente, the Magistri's official heir and former assessor for the Democratic Party. She doesn't seem anything special until you find out about her tragic backstory. In 1997, she lost her mother after she was killed at a Camorra shootout. After this tragic experience, she decided to dedicate her life to one cause: fighting organized crime. She became a lawyer and got involved in politics for many years. Now she is running for mayor under the endorsement of the mayor himself. There are 3 main problems with her. Number 1, she doesn't have any official party affiliation, only the endorsement of the former mayor, which is very weak. Because number 2, everybody hates her endorser because he lives in an ivory tower out of touch with reality. This brings me to number 3. She too lives in an ivory tower with him. Yeah, she is a big bag of wasted potential. I shouldn't even be talking about her, so I will smoothly transition to the next one. Antonio Bassolino, probably the most controversial candidate. How, you ask? Well, what if I told you that this motherfucker was mayor before? Oh, yes he was. From 1993 to 2000, until he was elected president of Campania, a charge he held until 2010, when he finally resigned after multiple charges of corruption and abuse of office. Ouch. Bassolino takes pride in running a campaign free of party endorsement, which he successfully swings as a good thing. Contrary to my initial expectations, his campaign doesn't run a slogan like "Make Naples Great Again" or something, but actually has a convincingly innovative tone, involving public works and social investments. In fact, Calenda has openly stated that he hopes he will win. Pasolini's story is not only about sketchiness and revival, but also about the treachery and the history of Naples overall. So let me know if you want a specific video on him. I'll be happy to oblige. Clemente has like 6% in the polls and Bassolino about 16%. Their numbers aren't too impressive, though we're just getting started. So far we haven't talked about the bigger fish, the candidates with actual party affiliations. Starting with the candidate running with the right-wing coalition, we have Catello Maresca. Lately the right has had this tendency of choosing candidates with no political experience. This can be twisted into an advantage usually in political campaigns, because voters like politicians who they can relate to. Salvini is the typical example. However, non-politicians usually are not great public speakers and often fall flat in appeal. Maresca, despite being in the more likable and professional side of the spectrum, he is not particularly persuasive. He is a well-regarded magistrate with numerous publications and years of experience in the fight against organized crime. His way of restoring Naples is by tackling crime with an iron fist. This might appease the people who want to see mafia bosses rot in jail, but this strategy is the medical equivalent of dealing with an illness by hiding the symptoms. As much as I appreciate Maresca as a magistrate, he doesn't seem to grasp the conditions which led to the birth of Camorra in the first place. Bassolino and Maresca, despite their differences, have concrete and somewhat reasonable ideas on how to make Naples a better place. Bassolino wants to apply Keynesian economics, while Maresca wants to reduce criminality. But ultimately, I think that the best strategy brought up in the campaign is the one by the left-wing candidate Gaetano Manfredi. Manfredi is a powerful choice who has a lot of political and academic experience. He started off as an engineer and academic at the University of Frederick II in Naples. Then he became its head from 2014 to 2020, when he was chosen as Minister of University and Research in Conte's second cabinet. As the independent minister of arguably the most neglected sector in our governance, he did not a lot, to be honest. The only noteworthy thing he did was presenting a reform project for the abolition of the state exam to carry out the profession of biologist, architect, pharmacist, veterinarian, psychologist and dentist, simplifying the procedures for access to the exercise of professions, hence shortening the times during university years. He also introduced a series of single-cycle master's degrees for those specific fields, though I don't think it got approved, so at the end of the day, his term was kind of useless. Manfredi though has a lot more to offer, and he has actually organized a pretty good campaign. He is an independent, but he has the external support of the Democratic Party and the Five-Star Movement. His plan revolves around the idea of a cultural renaissance. He wants to boost tourism by putting Naples on the international spotlight, by investing on tourist attractions all over the city. He also wants to encourage technological innovations and growth of the universities in the city. He has a similar approach to Antonio De Caro, the mayor of Bari, who thinks that by improving the cultural output of a city, the quality of life will eventually improve, which is true sometimes, although on a matter of correlation, not causation. Currently, in the polls, Maresca is at around 34%, while Manfredi is at 40%. Despite his affiliations to the Five-Star Movement, I honestly think Manfredi is a more convincing candidate. I also used to like him before he ran, so I'm going to vote for him. Some of you might be taken aback by my sincerity, but I never try to hide my bias when I make these videos. Inevitably, my preference slips through the cracks of fake neutrality, so I might as well be genuine about it. I really tried my best to like Maresca, and even Bassolino was tempting, but ultimately Manfredi won me over. As usual, I encourage you to do your own research and make your own mind mind, especially if you live in Naples and intend to vote like me. What do you think about the elections in Naples? Who would you vote for? Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're new. If you guys want, I can talk about the elections of Bologna too next week, if my thesis allows it. Have a good one, guys. Be sure to tune in for season 4 when it eventually starts. I will see you next time.